What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at the best midfielders in FC24, starting off with a bit more of a lower budget to start with. One of my favourite that you can get in the game at this point is Bernardo Silva. Very, very cheap for a 91 centre mid. He has got incisive and also technical on the playstyle pluses, and I must admit, a 91 with a 4-4. He is a very good attacking option card. He isn't much on the defensive, that is fair enough, but in terms of very cheap, Team of the Year honourable, if you wanted to kind of go with that Team of the Year vibe, then that is fair enough, and I feel like a lot of people have got him over the space of this week. Trent's going to be another one, relatively cheap at 104, is reliable at the right back, but I must admit, as a centre mid CDM, he has got options. He's got the defensive ability, yes, shooting wise, not as much. If you were looking for a cheap pairing, it could be a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to be number one. Most definitely, most of the first two teams that I'm going to show you are not number one players. It's not what you want, it's just in case you are lacking in either funds, not got any good pack look yet. There is a big variety of what midfielders everybody has. When we look at icons, I feel like the bottom tier now of Rijkaard and Makalele, I've only just replaced my Rijkaard, to be honest, so 67 or 68,000 for him, still a decent CDM. Koyunde, very similar, I like him as a centre-back, but the shapeshifter actually was relatively good as well. Putellas's gold still 190, which is just 10k short of what Vinny is still, so it just tells you how good this card is. Granted, the price might be a little bit inflated due to her being out of packs at the moment. And then we have a Modric. If you don't want to you don't fancy doing the SBC, which is the same but with a double playstyle, then the 291 is going to be more than suffice. We go upper tier with some questionable cards, to be honest, at times. Gravenberch, I've kind of threw him in just because I feel like a lot of people raved about this card. Whether we could see an evolutions of him very soon, that would be a nice little change. I know now we're starting to get in to them 84 to 86, maybe even a cheeky 87 to go up to that 90. That could be a card that would be well worth an investment. I don't know what his max price is, but 180, if you was potentially to get a double playstyle plus, a cheeky free upgrade, he could be worth quite a lot. We have got the two Real Madrid boys in Camavinga's Ice and also Winter Wildcard Alaba. Alaba's a little bit of a stretch because people did, or at least a lot of people seem to have done, the Pep's Legacy evolution. Is trying to think which one it was then. Pep's Legacy, which did make him with the other evolution, I think it was Team of the Week upgrade, I want to say, to like a 91 or 93 centre back. So that is fair enough. If you've already got that one, then probably not going to go for Alaba. Whereas I do prefer Camavinga in the midfield rather than in a left back. We have Dabina, cheaper SBC from the Team of the Year. Must admit, it is nice and refreshing to see an SBC under 500,000 coins anymore. And she is most definitely a little bit of a super sub you could go for. A 5'5", great agility balance, an overall very good dribbler, and potentially something you could sub on in the later halves of the game. Socrates, due an upgrade soon. I know he did technically have an evolutions that you could do, but to be honest, I want a proper upgrade for him now. Maybe turning him into a 5'5", putting him in a feature of the Icon campaign would be absolutely perfect. The card is decent as he is, a 4-star, 5-star Brazilian, stats-wise looking good, but we definitely need the upgrade now. Moving into some of the kind of players here, we've got Goretzka and Renato as two of the box-to-boxes. I feel like both very highly anticipated cards to eventually get an evolution or an extra status upgrade. I feel like Goretzka is definitely going to get one at some point soon, whereas Renato might be a little bit more time. Tauru, love him as a centre mid. I'm surprised how much he is still. I was going to say cheap, but 260 still is either just telling you how good this card is or what the supply was like, because he was definitely a phenomenal card in the midfield. Same as Ramirez, always love him. I feel like he has got endgame status written all over him for when we get to that level, because him at like a 96, 97 is going to be crazy. Them stats are going to be maxed out. A 5'5" on him, he will be incredible. He'll be in everybody's teams. Mark my words with that one. We have got Abili, again like Sauer. decent stats throughout. Yes, defensive has taken a little bit of a hit. You go with the shadow, the anchor, you've got yourself a nice centre mid. The only thing with the Playstyle Plus is acrobatic is not going to do anything. We do have Musiala as the 91. It's a shame he didn't get the double playstyle and they just kept him in a 90, because I think that could have given him an edge. I feel like he's just a standard cam. He's definitely one of the better ones for the price, but he is still very standard in comparison to around him. Then we get up to some of the higher rateds here. I believe the most we're going to is 750 at the moment. We have got the likes of CDMs of Rudiger, Tomori, and also Ramos. Like Camavinga, I'd say all three of these had the same centre-back fire, ice in the CDM. I would say Ramos is personally my favourite. Intercept is personally my favourite playstyle plus, and Tomori is just an absolute monster going forward with 88 pace. I think all three of them have their own identity as a CDM. I would say Ramos for me is the number one shout there though. Then we do have Yaya Toure, still at 407k, which we know about Yaya. He's just solidified him with the Hullet, the Vieira, the Matthias. You know what you're getting with him. He is a big old CDM, great physicality, defending's absolutely on point from the size, and he just works for it. Does have a triple threat that we'll see later on, but most definitely, even if you could just get the hero, he's still a solid centre mid. We've got a few around here as well. We've got Bonmati and Patrice, or Patria. I want to say it's Patrice. I can't remember. But them two, in terms of their versions, you could stick with the gold Putellas, or you could go up into the top ranks. They all have a team of the year, bar from her, which does stick at 91, but still phenomenal value that you can go with. Barella, I can imagine we'll get an upgrade at some point. 89 at the moment. Whether we see a 90 or 91 soon, that'll be the interesting one. And hopefully, we do get a weak foot upgrade. That could really help this card. Kaka himself, even the base version is still very good. I believe he's still got that value of 370 for a reason. He's a 5-star, 4-star, Brazilian like Socrates, whatever you want to call him. Then he still has that nostalgic value, Brazilian icon, and also stats to back it up really. We always love the Thunderstruck, his previous version in his foot birthday. He has the absolute source going forward, and it is beautiful to see him with that Rapid Plus. Abide Pele, exactly the same, Rapid Plus. He's got the 4-star, 4-star this time. Great pace, dribbling's on point, just needs a little bit more shooting, but we can whack a Hunter and that's no problem. He can provide himself more as a striker winger rather than a cam, but he is still all for it. And then we have got the SBC of Conte. 730 is a bit expensive in terms of what we're actually getting back, because I think as a DM, he's solid. We know Conte, very good. 3-star weak foot, you could look past it. 2-star skill move, I mean, it's not the greatest. But in terms of the card itself, I just feel like there's better cards out there now. Unfortunately, he isn't quite having that same effect of when the Chelsea Conte was really alive. So unfortunately, it is going to be a pass for me on the SBC. But if you are grinding fodder as much as possible, he would be very easy to complete nonetheless.
If your team's looking like this, then I have the place for you. Head over to U7Buy for all your coin needs. They're cheap, fast, and reliable, but make sure to use JT11 at the checkout for 6% off all of your coin orders.
And I believe this is where the midfield takes a turn for the final 3 squads. We've got some high rated and also some high priced. We start at about 680. We go up to about 1.4. I feel like from now until the end, any of these players could fit a team. There's a certain element, like maybe, yes, you don't want a Bruno and a Modric together, but if you went with a Valverde and a Modric, a Ramirez and a Bruno, Ramirez and a Son, it could work very well. If we go through a few of them, the Team of the Year icon is Xavi on this one. And also with Valverde and Modric, they both have the double play style plus. Technical and long ball pass, not terrible on Xavi. He isn't necessarily my favourite centre mid in the world, but I think they've done him a little bit of a justice here. Decent stats throughout, but he is, like I say, not the kind of number one shout that comes to mind. I would happily pay Valverde's price for the Rapid Plus, the Relentless. It's a very good combination. He's already got insane pace. You whack an anchor on him, you whack any sort of defensive ability. He is a solid box to box, going forward, getting back, and he does it all. Modric on the other hand, Pinged Pass and Travella, if that just said Incisive, it'd be so much better. 1.1 mil for the card, like I previously said with the 93 on the first page. You're only paying like 300,000 for the 93. I know he doesn't have the double playstyle plus, but really for a Pinged Pass, I'm not feeling it that much. I think it's far too expensive, especially for the same stats. If it was a double, he'd gone to 94, fair enough. But for the same stats and just adding Pinged Pass, for me, it is an absolute no-go. Kinda similar to Bruno. I like the long ball pass, so that kind of already ticks one box. He is a 4-4. 1.2 is a little bit expensive. I know inflation is massively up at the moment, so that is something to always consider. But I do think he is a little bit expensive. Whereas with Bruno, I could kind of understand. At the very minimum, he doesn't have a card the exact same rating, so it is kind of a win-win in that scenario. We do have Ramirez with his upgrade. It is just a +1, but like I said, with where this card's going, he's going to be one of the favourites in the centre mid. Unless we get some mind-blowing cards between like Team of the Season and Footies, this is going to be one of the major ones that's in there. Him and Yaya together will run the midfield. You throw a 3 in the midfield and go hull it, you've got yourself an easy winner. The only person that really can knock him off is this man, because they're very similar in terms of body type. When you obviously got height there, then the stats are going to be very similar. Other than kind of Matthias at the moment being a 90 with stats that are just unbelievable, Ramirez could get up to that. And I feel like Ramirez with the intercept, they're both different and also the same at the same time. Whereas Matthias does have that vibe of more of a box-to-box. Ramirez kind of like settles in that CDM. So you could go with someone like Ramirez, Matthias, Hullet, or even Yaya, because he can bring the ball forward, and all of them have shooting as well. But Ramirez is going to be phenomenal. Zico does have an SBC. I've been hearing mixed reviews recently. I like his Centurions upgrade. I think the card, it's new, it's fresh, it's a good SBC. Whether you put 1.7 into it, that's going to be the big question. He's 5'5". If you've already done Zidane, is there a second room for another cam in your formation? Because really, I play Zidane as a box-to-box somewhat, but mainly on the attack. Zico would pretty much do the same role, whereas Zidane has a little bit more on that defending, but also is the same sort of card going forward. So there's always arguments to which one you should choose. We do have Kaka's Thunderstruck 1.1, 5'4". Again, just a nice upgrade on Kaka. It's what we want to see, and hopefully we do go forward even more. Son, on the other hand, I prefer him on the wing personally, but he definitely still can work. This card can go into left wing as well, so I suppose that's kind of where I would eventually put him if I was to have this card. 4-star, 5-star with a technical, he's born on that wing. Schneider, on the other hand, very good upgrade. Loved his hero card at the start, kind of was decent, and then got caught up by the meta very quickly. Now we've got the 5-5, decent upgrade, incisive pass plus. I can't argue with that card one bit. Maybe, yes, you wouldn't necessarily go out and buy him, but in terms of price, you can understand he's a decent card. Same as Bobby Charlton. One that is due an upgrade very soon. 4-star, 5-star, very good stats throughout. Again, is more of the cam side of stuff with the power shot kind of sitting on the edge of the box in that sort of Zidane role. But the problem with Zico and Bobby Charlton is the defense is just not good enough to put into that role as well. And then we start seeing some base versions. So starting off, we've got obviously our first team of the year in Oberdorf. Great card. I do think the playstyle plus of Bruiser isn't necessarily my favourite, but you have got intercept as well, so we know full well I love a good intercept. It works really well, and I think as the price kind of suggests, she is one of the cheaper team of the years, especially in the midfield, but by no means is she one to not kind of remember when you're going against, because she will run that midfield in ease. Sauer, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of the price, to be honest. I think Press Proven and Relentless isn't my favourite playstyle pluses. Some people really like them, but when it comes to it, I think 1.6 into her, I'm just not feeling that sort of price. A very good card, but again, I can feel like there's a lot more fodder choices I'd rather go with. Yaya Toure, on the other hand, great card. Lovely upgrade. It's got the press proven. He didn't have a playstyle plus prior to this, so you kind of let it slide. It's the same with Sauer, to be honest. If she had one really good playstyle plus that was on both versions and she got added extra but got an upgrade, it's fair enough. But having two that are not necessarily premium playstyle pluses, it's a little bit cheapy. Then we've got Zidane in the 92 and 94. Obviously with the 92, he is still in SBCs for the next few days. So if you are trying to finish that off, get him finished. Do not let him slip. 2.1 mil is a lot to be wasted if you've got like 2 or 3 left. Get it done. Whereas the 94, 1.6 now. All of them are 5.5 as normal. First touch plus on both of them. It's Zidane. He's absolutely incredible. We do have Essien then with another double play style. We've got Jockey and Aerial. I could see that working. The Jockey side of it is decent, especially if you do Jockey. You have to Jockey to get the play style plus working. And Aerial is going to be nice in the midfield just in case he goes up for a header. That's kind of just a secondary one that is there, not used constantly. So for instance, like the intercept or anticipate, that could be used quite a lot. Whereas the Jockey, you've got to manually do it. And then obviously with the aerial, it's going to come as an extra bonus. It's like almost the quick step, the rapid. They come instantly when you're running, but then something like a long ball pass or trying to think, something like a relentless would come secondary where you are not necessarily doing it. So it's like the ball's got to be in the air. You can't really kick it up in the air for the defensive header, unless you're trying to score on your own goal. Rodri, on the other hand, love this version. Even before the Team of the Year, the big question was Rodri getting a Team of the Year? After getting the Fire and Ice so soon before Team of the Year, it's nice to see that we've got a couple of options with him, as I think these cards are absolutely brilliant. I think the Fire definitely has me down to a T a little bit, but I do like the dribbling on the ice. So there is questions. I probably would go for the dribbling more so than the power shot plus, as he just runs the midfield. Same as these two, Vieira and Hullet. There's very little to say against these two because we know how good these players are. They are in the millions for a reason, especially their base forms. You got 1.8 for Vieira and then 2.7 for Hullet is nuts. And obviously Putellas has to show in again before we get to the final page that is absolutely beautiful. 1.7 for the Winter Wildcard. We have got Tiki Taka as the Playstyle Plus, but still a brilliant card throughout. And then finally, it is the page that everybody wants. You're looking at the Team of the Years, the Team of the Year icons, the highest rated Hullet, a Nene, a Zico, a Zidane. All of these cards, so we've got, what are the pricing? 7 mil, 4.2, 3.7, 5.2, 8.6, wow, 8.4 for Bellingham, 4.7, 4.2, 3.2, 3.1, and finally 2.8. Wow. In this midfield, there's 55 million coins of a midfield. Granted, if I was to have to pick the best of the best, I must admit I'm enjoying a bit of Putellas. I'd throw in a bit of Bellingham as well. If I was to go for a midfield 3, what I would set that up as is potentially a cam, but what I would personally go with what's in front of me, I'd go a solid DM. So I'd be looking at something like, I'm thinking a Rodri / Matthias. Yeah, I feel like Rodri or Matthias is kind of like my DM. I'd probably often go for Matthias, I think. No, I think I'd go Rodri. It'd be Matthias's stats are pretty good on the attack though. Maybe it'd be between Matthias and Vieira then. I'm just thinking of the playstyle pluses on Rodri. Bruiser and press proven are just not it. Whereas Vieira, block and intercept, definitely could be up my street. So I think CDM would be Vieira. Putellas would be one of the centre mids. The 5-5's got to be done. And I think then if I was to have to pick anybody, take biases aside with Hullet, Matthias, I think it would be between Hullet, Matthias, Bellingham, and you never know, maybe even a cheeky Bonmati. Very good stats, 4-star, 5-star as well. I feel like any of them would give you an absolute run. To be honest, you could probably pick all of these. You could go Matthias, Putellas, Bonmati, De Bruyne, Rodri, Bellingham. All of them would give you the exact same output. The only time it doesn't is if you pick Zico, Neymar and Zidane. You can't have too many attackings. There's got to be some defence in there as well. So I think in terms of defence, the best of the best. You're looking at Vieira, you're looking at Rodri. Big size, you're looking at Hullet, maybe even a cheeky Matthias as that defensive side. You've got your box to boxes, and then also you've got your cams. It's an easy choice between all of them. Everybody wants these cards. The question is, have you got any? I've got one. I'm going to let you guess who it is.